Folks, welcome back to Nostalgianomics. So obviously we're in the middle of this massive bull run. There's a couple ways to play markets like this. One, you can kind of get on the bandwagon and follow the momentum swings and get in early, sell into the strength, and then move on to the next play. Or you can look elsewhere in the market that maybe no one else is looking right now, that everyone has forgotten about, where the cards or products have fallen and they're beaten up, and get into those before the money moves back to them, if you believe it will. And that's what this video is going to focus on. So if you don't remember, about 3 weeks ago, I made a video saying this. And so I do believe the alt arts, okay? On record, okay? So you can laugh at me in 6 months if I'm wrong. I do believe the alt arts are going to go on another run. And if you've been waiting to pick them up for your collection, if you want to make a play on them, I think it probably is a good time moving into Q4. And so as you can see, I put that video out literally 3 weeks ago from today. And so we're going to take a look at which alt arts have already started to move again, which ones have not yet moved and may be a good time to pick them up. And we're going to take a look at some of the X, Y, and Sun and Moon top hits of those eras and how they performed and how you could draw similarities from the patterns they shown with their multiple moves they've had over the years. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Before we do that though, I have to shout out today's video sponsor. It is Arizona TCG. They are a consignment service for your PSA, BGS, and CGC slabs. If you don't want to do all the work of selling them yourself, they'll do it for you. Their fees are very transparent at just 13.5%. And what's really cool about their site is on their main page, they have this little calculator where you can literally guesstimate what your slab will sell for. And you can see what you're going to take home selling it yourself and what you would take home with Arizona TCG doing it for you. And most of the time, you're going to make more having them do all the work for you. This is taking into account the 13.25% selling fee on eBay, plus $6 for shipping and shipping materials. And honestly, guys, it just makes sense to use them if you're going to be selling slabs in this market. So make sure to check out Arizona TCG. The link will be in the description and the comment section below. So we got to start things out with the Moonbryon. Umbreon VMAX cannot be stopped, guys. Here in the last month, it's already risen another 10%. If we go look at the 1 year chart, this was the initial pump way back here in May, right? And then everything crashed, as we were told was going to happen, and it had a pullback of about 20% from its highs, which now it has now eclipsed those old highs and is now selling for more than ever. If we go look at the PSA 10 prices, it was selling in the mid to low 1200s back in July. In just a few months, it is already back to $1,400 a card. It has came back another 15 or 20% in just a few months. The Rayquaza VMAX is seeing similar moves. In the last month, it has seen an upturn in the raw card. And if we go look at the PSA 10 copies, it was going for in the low 500s back in July and is now selling in the mid 600s, both in buy it now and at auction, meaning it has seen an easy 20% plus move up in just a few months. Giratina, same story. In the last month, it's seen a massive price rise. I want to draw your attention to this because it's pretty funny, right? I made that video. I just showed you 3 weeks ago. Okay, so 3 weeks ago was right in here, right? It was right back in here where it was reaching its lows. And in the past 3 weeks, we've seen a dramatic increase upwards. It's almost like Alex knows a little something about these markets, or just got lucky. You guys know it. Just got lucky once again. But back in July, it was going, in the low to high 500s. And now the Giratina is back in the high 600s. I just sold mine for 700. We're seeing other sales end a little over 700. So again, a very clear 20% plus move up on the Giratina. Gengar, same exact story in the last month. It's up. If we look at the last 3 month chart, you can see literally, like I said, a few weeks ago, it was selling for much less. It's seen a run ever since then. The Gengar was selling in the, I would say, 600 to low 600s back in July. And now we are seeing it go for high sixes, mid sixes, $700 again. And so, Gengar, again, on another 10, 15% run already. Not as much as the Giratina, Umbreon, or Rayquaza, but it is on a run. The Lugia is even starting to run again. Here's the last 1 month chart. Here's the 3 month chart, what it's looking like. And if we go look at the PSA prices, here's the PSA 10 going very clearly in the mid 300s back in July. We look at it now, it's moved up to the high 300s. So about a 10% move, nothing crazy yet, but it is moving nonetheless. Now, those are the ones that are moving. Let's take a look at some of the ones that have not seen movement yet that could be a good time to move in before they join the trend and the money starts to move back to them. So the Blaziken, it is still absolutely getting crushed in the last month. You can look at the year chart. It has reached a new low. It has not moved off that yet. And the PSA 10 prices tell the same story. So back in July, it was selling in the mid 400s. If we look at it now, it's still in the mid, if not the low 400s. It's still falling. It still hasn't had another rise yet. So the Blaziken could be a good move. Espeon VMAX, right? It has not seen the move yet. In the last month, it's still trending down. Last 3 months, still trending down. Here's what the year chart looks like. It did set a higher low. However, it has not moved off that low yet. If we go look at what it was selling for, this is October. If we look at what it was selling for back in July, it was in the, low 300s, I would say, low to mid 300s. And now it is still in maybe the mid 300s. Maybe the PSA 10 has saw about a 10% or so increase, but nothing crazy yet. Nothing crazy on the Espeon. This is probably my pick for the most undervalued card, maybe in the hobby right now, is this Charizard V. Guys, it shows that it's seen an uptick. This isn't really an uptick. It's 130. Now it's 133. In the last year, it's still down. You're still seeing them listed in the $130, $132 range. If you look at back in July, this was going for just under $300 or the mid 200s at auction. And now it's still there. Guys, this is under a $300 PSA 10. It's an alt art. It's a Charizard. It's fighting Venusaur. I can't understand it. This seems completely undervalued. That seems like my best pick for a player right now. And then we have Machamp. Machamp is still on the downtrend in the last 3 months. In the last month, if we look at the year chart, you can see the Machamp. It did set a higher low from where it was before, but it has not moved off of it. In July, it was going in the 260s. Right now, it's still selling in the 260s. Maybe some are going a little higher with Z and G. Other than that, it's about the same price, if not less. The Machamp could be another good choice to move into while it is low. All right. I do want to show you some history on some of these charts, okay? Here is what other like cards have done in Sun and Moon and XY era. So here's the Mewtwo GX, okay, from Shining Legends, right? It had its initial pump with the pandemic. And look at this, guys. It came down and went stagnant for years. So it came down and went stagnant from 2021 November all the way until November of 2022 until it started to make a move up. So these cards can go stagnant for periods of time and then see moves up and actually increase and break their old highs, which this card did, okay? The Latios, same exact thing, right? It saw its initial pump with the pandemic. It came down and went stagnant for a number of years, and then it went to higher heights than it ever saw, like multiples of what it saw during the pandemic, came back down, right? Went stagnant for another period of time, and then it went on another tear. The Gengar Mimikyu card, same exact thing from Team Up, right? Saw its pump during the pandemic, went stagnant, saw another massive increase, came down. Now it's seeing another increase again. The Gardevoir Sylveon, this is the alt art from Unbroken Bonds, same thing. Saw a pump during the pandemic, went stagnant, saw another pump recently, and now it's through another time of going kind of flat. The Blastoise Piplup saw similar moves, saw a huge run, came down, went stagnant for about a year or more, saw another run up, now it came down, went stagnant, now it's seeing another run. Do you see the pattern here? This is what the top hits and eras can go through. And so just because all the interest is in Scarlet Violet right now, you have everything going to 151, Surging Sparks, it doesn't mean the money will not move back to these alt arts. Going even back to XY, guys, the Alakazam Secret Rare from Fates Collide saw similar moves. Saw a big run up, came down, went stagnant, saw another run up years later, right? And this is, guys, you got to remember, this is 2023. This is like 8 years after the set was released. Same thing goes for the Mega Rayquaza back in Ancient Origins. Again, 8 years after the set was released, it's seeing one of its biggest runs of its life, right? Saw a massive run up during COVID, came back down, went stagnant for a few years, and now it's seeing the most massive run up it's seen, and it's reaching new heights higher than it's ever been. These cards go through periods of massive runs, of everyone taking profits and things falling off, times of stagnation where the interest and the money isn't there, and then sometime you don't know when it's going to come back in the future, they can go through other runs where you can just make massive amounts of gains in just a short amount of time on these singles. So you guys know my stance. I'm more of a sealed investor, but I do make short-term plays on singles. I know a lot of people do very well making short-term plays on singles. And so if you are looking elsewhere in the market, if you're feeling like Scarlet and Violet is getting way too hot for you, you don't want to kind of play into the madness, you don't want to try to run these momentum plays up, and you're looking elsewhere in the market, look, XY and Sun and Moon are hot right now too, right? Scarlet Violet's hot. Sword and Shield seems to be the area of the market that not a lot of people are looking still. It seems the money is starting to move back. We're kind of right at the cusp of the money moving back, as we've seen with the Umbreon, the Rayquaza, and some of those other cards. However, it hasn't fully made it back there yet. A lot of the alt arts are still stagnant. Some of the cards that have moved haven't moved much yet, like 10% move. And it could be a good time, like I said 3 weeks ago, I'm going to say it again now, to pick up these alt arts, to pick up some of these Sword and Shield alt art boxes that have not moved, such as the Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Silver Tempest, and otherwise. Because when the money does move back, when the attention does shift, the moves will happen fast. You're going to hear all the same rhetoric you do now, buyouts, manipulations, all those things. But what it is, it's not any of those things. It's all the money moving back to certain areas of the market at certain times. And I'm telling you, that time will come. I can't give you an exact time frame, but when it happens, it'll happen fast. And you're going to be happy that you held some of these boxes and some of these cards that a lot of people are not wanting right now. So hope the video helped. Hope you guys make some good plays based on it. And subscribe to the channel if you're not yet. I'll be back here in a new one soon. I'm out.